Welcome back, everybody. This is Michael Levitis from JurisQ.com, where we bring you different attorneys from different practice areas in various states to educate on FAQs, frequently asked questions on the law. And today we have a guru of commercial real estate, an attorney, Sinayskaya Yuniver from Sinayskaya Yuniver. Welcome back, Stephen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Thank you. In our prior sessions, we talked about should you have a holding company when you buy or lease real estate? In what state should you register? Now let's get more into the nitty-gritty of the lease. As we know, triple net leases are very popular. They're very onerous, I would say, towards the tenants. The tenants don't like them. So let's explain more about triple net leases. What have you seen are the difficulties with it? And also what comes with it is tax liability. Sometimes we see, Stephen, that you have to pay the whole real estate tax on the property. Sometimes you see you only have to pay increases of the base year. Can you please explain as well how that works in the lease?
So a triple net lease, in the basic term, it's when the tenant has to pay absolutely for everything. Everything that the landlord pays for, it should be paying in a regular lease, the tenant pays. There's no increase, there's no anything. You pay 100% of taxes, you pay 100% of water, you pay 100% of electricity.
Okay.
A lot of times attorneys don't look at triple net leases because the idea of a triple net lease is you have to pay for everything. Why look into it? But it's very important. Recently, I had a client, and they signed this multi-year, 20-year triple net lease, and it's a 4-story building, and the client took over 3 of the floors. So in a triple net lease with 3 of the floors, you really should be only paying 3 of the floors of worth of everything.
That makes sense.
The attorney unfortunately didn't read the lease, and the client is now responsible for 100% of everything, including whatever the first floor tenant is
That
using.
is unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. The taxes, I think, annually are about $40,000. So on top of their regular rent, they had to pay $40,000 a year in taxes instead of, let's say, what is it? 90 divided by 4.
Right.
30,
unbelievable,
whatever that percentage is.
Right.
So unfortunately, they got stuck. So they came to me and said, we'd like to renegotiate the lease. Luckily, I was able to speak to the landlord and we were able to get some concessions, but not what we would have had prior to looking at the lease. Just because somebody says it's a triple net lease and that you have to pay for 100% of everything doesn't mean you don't negotiate. What in this lease had as well is that the tenant had to pay 100% of the landlord's own insurance costs. So you were subsidizing the landlord's insurance, subsidizing taxes and water for the whole entire building so that they could rent out the first floor as not a triple net.
So, Stephen, not only are you paying your own liability insurance on your premises, you also have to pay possibly landlord's insurance. Let's say if a fire strikes the building. Wow, this is could be very, very surprising, and like I said before, onerous for a tenant.
Right. So I had also a lot of times landlords sneak in a triple net lease that you're also in charge of the foundation, the roof, and also outside structures. You have to be very careful and make sure that every lease has those exceptions. Landlords regularly should be in charge of that. At the same time, if a landlord is looking to do a triple net lease, triple net leases are great for landlords. It takes away almost entirely all of the liability from the landlord, and they only get it back at the end of the month.
Yeah, I want to add also, not only it's important to read the lease, it's important to hire an attorney that does commercial real estate, that has seen the pitfalls, has seen the unforeseen circumstances you may not even consider that could happen down the road, because you never know. Like, for example, we discussed, you and I, before COVID pandemic. Who would have thought that for such a long period of time there would be businesses will be forced to close, and who pays for expenses and all that? Then it's important to pre-envision worst case scenarios from the tenant side and from the landlord side. What about well, you mentioned repairs on, let's say, cracks to foundation.
Right.
But also other types of repairs, heating, air conditioning, that could also be part of a triple net lease, correct?
Well, triple net lease basically means that you own the building without owning it. Anything
Mhm.
breaks, it's on
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
on the tenant. This is all negotiable. So I always recommend not rushing into leases. I understand when somebody wants to create a business and go into a business, they just want to start making money.
Right.
But it's very, very important because you don't know what the future is, especially during COVID. All of my clients that signed triple net leases, I had to renegotiate them. A lot of times
Right.
the landlords weren't budging and we had to vacate the location and lose hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you see, Steven, sometimes triple net leases make sense, sometimes they don't. Like to me, if you're a tenant going into a completely dilapidated property, you have to renovate it from top to bottom. You're the one who's putting in the repairs. It seems like you should be responsible for more if anything goes wrong with repairs. Whereas if a landlord gave you a let's say a brand new space that's completely renovated, maybe the landlord, because he's the one or she who put in the work, should be responsible. So it all depends, but you need to have an experienced attorney to navigate these waters, right?
That is correct. And I unfortunately, even when I write the leases and when I represent a landlord for leasing, the biggest issues I find are when the opposing counsel or a different attorney doesn't catch certain things that are very negotiable. A lot of times there's parts where saying that if you decide to sell your business, the landlord has the right of first refusal of taking it.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah, we talked about
yeah,
that. That's a big issue.
it just you need to check the lease very detail oriented. Just
Golden
because you know it's going to be triple net
right.
doesn't mean that doesn't mean it's all across the board the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, with those wise words, we're gonna end this session. Thank you for all the information. And again, we're here giving food for thought. We're here to give red flags, what to watch out for. But of course, I would not dare to sign lease myself that I reviewed myself and not an attorney that does commercial real estate. And I suggest to anybody before you sign a lease, as a landlord or as a tenant, get consultation from an attorney like Stephen Yuniver to make sure all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted correctly.
Correct.
All right. Okay,
Thank
very good. Thank you so much for your time. And we're going to talk about next topic that is could be very painful and costly. Hard money. Stay tuned. Thank you.